Hello, friends. Your boy Jeff here. And this is another Confessions of a Comic Book Junkie video. Putting out a couple of these here this week. In addition to all of the things I want this series to be, some of which will happen, some which may never, will depending on how things go and what crosses my mind at the time. New comics aren't necessarily ruled out of this series either. It's not going to be all old stuff all the time. I quit collecting new stuff early in 2018. That's when I stopped my monthly shipment of comics from the pull list that I had with mycomicshop.com. I've been with them for close to 15 years, I think. And they're a great company. They're a great place to get new comics from if there's not a shop in your local area. Of course, I would always suggest you support local, but sometimes with money being what it is and being fairly expensive to collect new comics these days in large quantities, my comic shop had the best pre-order deals around, so I just couldn't resist. Be that as it may, although I did pretty much stop reading new stuff on a regular basis, it also meant it didn't mean that I'd quit completely. And I'm just going to show this because this is something that I got for my anniversary from my wife. This is a collection of crime comics from a series from Image Comics called Criminal. And it's created by Ed Brubaker. He's the writer, and Sean Phillips is the artist. This collected, I think, about 8 or 9 issues of the series that ran in like 2019 into 2020. This collection came out at the end of 2020. Now, like I said, when I quit getting new stuff, there were series that I did want to kind of continue with, and on an irregular basis, and this is one of them. It's just the back cover. This is a hardcover color collection of these comics. And just to talk a little bit about Ed Brubaker for a second, he's probably over the last 12 to 15 years, he's been one of my favorite comics writers. In terms of superhero stuff, he wrote Catwoman for DC for a fairly long spell. And right after that, he came to Marvel. I'm not going to list his entire credits. This is just the stuff that I have in my collection. When he came to Marvel, he took over Captain America in like the early 2000s, like 2005, I think. And his take on Cap is a lot of what you see in the current Marvel version, especially when it comes to the Winter Soldier. Because he brought back Bucky. And for just the casual comics fan, you probably can't even really imagine what a big deal that was. But for longtime career fans of comics, especially of Marvel, that Bucky was one of those characters that was like sacred. He died in World War II, trying to get, famously trying to catch a spy plane that was taking off, that was sent by Baron Zemo. And just quickly, Cap and Bucky were on a motorcycle. They jump this ramp to try to catch this plane, and Cap slid off. Bucky was able to hold on to the wing. The plane exploded, killing him. Or so we thought. Cap fell into the ocean, and then that's how he went into suspended animation and got in the ice in the comics. A little different in the movies. But anyway, that that storyline took place when the Avengers discovered Cap, back in like 1960, what, 4, with Avengers number 4, and that was the story for Bucky, and he stayed dead, from then until this series that Ed Brubaker wrote, and he ingeniously, I think, created a character using Bucky and turning him into like a killing machine, for lack of a better word. From Cap's point of view, when the plane exploded, it looked like Bucky was killed. Come to find out, he wasn't. He fell into the hands of the Russians. They saved him, and they kept him in a form of suspended animation. Also, brainwashing him, putting him through all kinds of extra training to be an assassin, and reanimating him at different times from, the 40s and World War II up to the present day to carry out hits for the Russians. That was his deal. And eventually, in the series, Cap runs across this unknown character at the time, tries to catch him, can't. He has a robot arm, like a bionic arm, because Bucky did lose his arm in the plane explosion. He was fitted with like a cybernetic one, which of course was stronger than a human arm, and comes to find out that the Winter Soldier is indeed Bucky. Long story short, Cap had got the Cosmic Cube. You guys remember the Cosmic Cube from the Avengers movies. It was the Tesseract. And holding the Cosmic Cube, he was able to do basically whatever he wanted. So he used the Cosmic Cube while he held it to free Bucky from his brainwashing. And that's kind of how he was brought into the Marvel Universe. And then from there, he had actually taken over the mantle of Cap when Cap was shot, famously. That was one of the storylines, I think, that made national news. And then from there, for a very long stretch of time, he was Cap. Him and the Falcon were kind of like running the show on that title. It was called Captain America, but Captain America himself really wasn't in it, if you're thinking of Steve Rogers. Anyway, one of my all-time favorite series, especially modern series. And one of the things that Ed Brubaker liked to do was write crime comics. Even in Captain America, there were aspects of crime and noir in them. But when he left Cap and moved over to Image Comics, he started a series called Criminal, with Sean Phillips as the co-creator and the artist. And I followed him there, just like I followed all of his other series up to that point. And since then, he's done a string of crime series for Image, like Fatale, The Fade Out. I'll just give you some names here. Kill or Be Killed, along with original graphic novels, of which a series has just been put out, which I have to get. I only have the first one. It's called My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies. Really good stuff. That's just a brief overview of of Ed Brubaker as a creator and why I like him. Writes very terse, very tersely, very right to the point. He tries to get, the crime novel aspect in there, which he does pretty well. Back to this. I hadn't read Criminal for, a couple of years. The series went on hiatus while he did some of the other series that I mentioned. And I came back and restarted the Criminal series, and that's where these issues come from. It's a backstory for one of the main characters from way back in Criminal's past, and it's a story of a heist that we think goes bad, but not really. Some of it does. The twist ending is really unexpected. Not, I mean, I could have sort of seen it coming, but not really. I didn't really cheat and look ahead. But the themes among his crime writing is always something goes wrong. Something always goes wrong. And this book is no exception. So I had this on my wish list on Amazon. My wife saw it, and she got this for me for our anniversary a couple weeks ago. And I couldn't wait to read it. So I just finished it today, actually. And I just wanted to do a little video on it, just to show that not everything I read is old. So in that regard, I want to try to go back and get some of the other hardcover collections that I'm missing from this series. I'll just give you the artwork is really kind of matches the story, and the coloring on this book is really stellar. That's by Jacob Phillips. It really adds to the noirish feel of the book. I really enjoy the way these colors come out. Some might think it's too garish, especially if you're a fan of newsprint, old school comics from the 60s and 70s. You might think this stuff is really garish and unnecessary, but I like it. I've never really had a problem with new comics. You know, the way they're made, how they're drawn, how they're created, how they're printed, what they're printed on. None of that stuff's ever really bothered me. If anything, things have gotten better than when I was a kid, believe me, compared to the way comics used to be. But if you like that sort of thing, if you like, you know, more than just superheroes fighting each other in the comic realm, this is a really nice alternative. And Image, over the years, has really become a place that puts out quality stuff that's not necessarily all superhero driven, the way Marvel is. Like a series like Saga, which is something I need to catch up on as well. That's a series that I've been following for quite a while in collected form. I have all the other Criminals and other series I have in separate floppy comics. This is like the first collected edition of this series that I've got. So, Image has been pretty darn stellar with some of their series. Greg Rucka famously did a lot of work for Image. I don't even know if he's still creating comics for them. I'm not sure. But just wanted to make a quick video here recommending this book if you are a comic fan. I mean, this stuff is more for adults. It's not for kids. Not that there's a bunch of nudity or anything in it, but there is some swearing. And of course, there's some violent, bloody situations, especially at the end. I won't spoil too much of it, but yeah, the ending of this book is really bloody. So this is probably more for adults than kids, but that's okay. You know, adults need to read comics too. So if you're a fan of crime, you know, crime noir type of books, like the Hard Case Crime series, or, you know, anything like that, this would be a great series for you to check out. And like I said, there are years and years and years worth of issues and stories to catch up on if you're interested. So, this collection called Cruel Summer is really, really good. Gets my highest recommendation. And like I said, Ed Brubaker is one of my favorite comics writers, still working today. So just wanted to drop this quick little video and tell you about this for a little bit, tell you a little bit about Ed Brubaker, why I like him, why he's famous, and check him out. Peace. It's your boy Jeff. I'll see you again next time.